Hello to all our wonderful listeners, and welcome back to Furry Stories. For anyone tuning in for the first time, this podcast is your cozy corner of the internet, a safe space for animal lovers to share the cutest stories, the funniest problems, and the most touching experiences we've had with our furry, scaly, or feathery best friends. I'm sure many of you who have pets have experienced that stomach-lurching panic at least once. Maybe it was your dog who cleverly squeezed through a gap in the fence for a solo neighborhood tour, or your cat who disappeared for a multi-day rooftop expedition. Or perhaps it was a tiny pet, one you thought was perfectly secure, who simply vanished. Poof, gone, as if by magic. Well, today's story is about one such amateur magician, and our star is the one and only Hamster. These small, fluffy creatures seem so harmless and sweet, but who knew that beneath that adorable exterior lies the soul of a master escape artist? Today's tale is about a particular hamster who decided the world was his oyster and made a break for freedom, only to be lured back by the undeniable power of hunger, surrendering right at the front door of his cage. It's a story that's as hilarious as it is endearing. So grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's listen to the story of a tiny adventurer whose journey was guided by a grumbling tummy. Our story begins on a seemingly ordinary morning. At least it started that way. The pet owner in our story, let's call her Clara, woke up and went about her daily routine. First on the list was to greet the smallest member of her household, her fluffy hamster, who was usually curled up and snoozing soundly in his cozy cage. But the sight that greeted her that morning made her rub her eyes in disbelief. The cage, which should have contained a tiny, sleeping ball of fur, was completely empty. Can you imagine that feeling, listeners? That split second where your heart feels like it has plummeted to your feet? A million questions race through your mind. Where did he go? How did he get out? Is he okay? In an instant, the peaceful home transformed into a high-stakes search and rescue scene. Clara immediately launched her investigation, starting with a thorough inspection of the cage itself, looking for any possible clue, any gap, any sign of the escape. And then she found it. The small door on the cage, which she could have sworn she had latched securely the night before, was slightly ajar, just enough for a tiny body to squeeze through. Wow, you can't underestimate these little guys. Many people think that small pets like hamsters are simple creatures, but they possess a powerful, innate instinct for exploration and adventure, especially younger hamsters who are bursting with energy and an insatiable curiosity about everything around them. Most hamster escapes happen for surprisingly simple reasons that we might overlook. It could be a cage door not fully latched, bars that are spaced just a tiny bit too far apart, or even a toy placed in the perfect spot to be used as a launching pad for a daring leap. Some hamsters are even known to gnaw through the plastic parts of their cages, creating their own custom exit. It's like a miniature Mission Impossible unfolding right in our living rooms. Back to Clara. After discovering the point of escape, she began her massive search operation. She started calling her little pet's name, knowing full well that a hamster probably doesn't respond to its name like a dog or cat would. But in moments like that, you do everything you can, right? She got on her hands and knees, peering into every dark corner and crevice, under the sofa, behind the bookshelf, beneath the cabinets, but there was no sign of the furry fugitive. Worry began to creep in, turning into a knot in her stomach. Because while a house might seem like a safe, contained space to us, for a hamster the size of a cotton ball, it's a vast, sprawling wilderness filled with both wonder and unseen dangers. While Clara was frantic with worry, let's switch our perspective to that of our furry explorer. Imagine this, listeners. The world you've only ever seen through the bars of your cage is now stretching out before you in every direction. The living room floor becomes a vast open plain. The legs of tables and chairs transform into a forest of towering pillars. The dark, mysterious space under the sofa is a cave waiting to be explored.
For Hamster, being outside the cage is the adventure of a lifetime. Everything is new and exciting. Unfamiliar smells fill the air, sounds are clearer and more distinct, and every single step is a new discovery. He might have scurried along the baseboards, tunneled into a pile of laundry left on the floor, or perhaps even made a new friend, which turned out to be just a dust bunny under the bed. Naturally, hamsters are nocturnal animals. This means their grand escapes and adventures most often take place while we humans are sound asleep. Their instincts tell them to find small, dark, and enclosed spaces to hide in during the daytime to feel safe. This is precisely why finding an escaped hamster can be so incredibly difficult. The places they choose to hide are often the last places we'd think to look. Common hamster hideouts include behind or under furniture, the warm space behind a refrigerator, under an oven, or in the gap between a couch and the wall are prime real estate. Inside closets or drawers. An open dresser drawer is an invitation for a hamster to burrow in and create a cozy nest among your socks. In shoes or bags, these offer dark, warm, and confined spaces that feel very secure to a small creature. Even inside walls, in more extreme cases, they can find small holes around pipes or in baseboards and disappear into the structure of the house itself. Our little adventurer was likely having the time of his life exploring this brand new world. After running around until his tiny legs were tired, he would have found a comfortable spot to nap, completely unaware that this vast new world lacked the comforts of his familiar cage. In his cage, there was soft bedding, a little house to sleep in, a wheel for exercise, and most importantly, an endless supply of fresh food and water. As the hours passed and the sun began to set again, the thrill of adventure started to be replaced by a new, more urgent sensation: hunger. A little rumbling in his tummy served as a powerful reminder that all the energy he'd spent exploring was running low. The great, wide world that had seemed so exciting just hours before now felt empty and vast, especially without the comforting crunch of a sunflower seed or a delicious pellet stored away in his cheek pouches.
Hunger is one of the most powerful instincts in the animal kingdom. No matter how brave or independent a creature is, when its stomach starts to growl, everything else takes a backseat. And this was the turning point in our little hamster's grand adventure. His mission objective shifted from exploration to foraging. He began sniffing around frantically, his tiny nose twitching, searching the floor for anything edible. A breadcrumb dropped under the dining table might have provided a temporary snack, but it was nothing compared to the gourmet buffet of mixed grains and seeds he was used to in his food dish. Meanwhile, back on the human side of the story, Clara had nearly turned the house upside down with no luck, so she decided to change her strategy. Instead of actively searching, she would set a trap of hope, baited with the one thing she knew her little pet couldn't possibly resist: food. This is a classic and often successful technique used by owners of lost hamsters. Clara took the empty cage and placed it on the floor in the middle of the room, leaving the door wide open. Then she filled the food bowl to the brim with a fresh, irresistible mix. She included his standard pellets, a variety of seeds, and of course, the ultimate hamster delicacy, sunflower seeds. Their rich, nutty aroma is a scent that no hamster can ignore. For good measure, she created a little trail of sunflower seeds leading from different corners of the room directly to the cage door, like a breadcrumb trail guiding him back home. With the trap set, all she could do was wait and hope. And then, in the dead of night, when the house was completely silent, a tiny nose twitched. The hungry adventurer, hiding somewhere in the shadows, caught a familiar, delicious scent wafting through the air. Cautiously, he followed the aroma, his whiskers trembling. He soon discovered the trail of sunflower seeds. It must have looked like an oasis in the desert. Without a second thought, he began gobbling them up one by one, his cheek pouches quickly filling. The trail led him closer and closer to a familiar sight, the entrance to his very own cage. And just inside, he could see it, a mountain of his favorite food piled high in his bowl. It must have looked like hamster heaven. In that moment, any hesitation vanished. He scurried right back into his cage, made a beeline for the food bowl, and began stuffing his face with blissful abandon. The great adventure was officially over. He had learned a valuable lesson. Freedom is nice, but a full belly and a safe, warm home is so much better.
The next morning, Clara woke up with a sliver of hope. She walked into the living room and her heart leapt. There, curled up in his little house, was her prodigal pet, sleeping peacefully with a full, round belly. The food bowl was half empty, and he had a few bits of dust on his fur, but he was home, safe and sound. It was a moment of pure relief, joy, and the overwhelming urge to scoop him up for a gentle hug.
So, what did you think of our little escape artist's adventure? It's a story that's cute, funny, and teaches us a valuable lesson, isn't it? It shows that no matter how big or small our pets are, they all have a spark of curiosity and a desire for adventure. But at the end of the day, home, the place filled with love, safety, and a reliable source of food, is always the best place to be. For our listeners who own hamsters or other small rodents, this story is also a good reminder to always double-check the security of their enclosures. Here are a few quick tips. Check doors and latches. Always make sure the doors are securely fastened every single time you close them. Bar spacing. For smaller dwarf hamsters, the bars on a cage shouldn't be more than 1/4 inch, about 1 centimeter apart. You'd be amazed at the tiny spaces they can squeeze through. Beware of tall toys. Arrange toys and accessories away from the top edge of the cage so they can't be used as a platform for an escape. And inspect for damage. If you have a plastic cage, regularly check for any signs of chewing or gnawing that could create an escape route. And if the unexpected does happen and your little friend goes missing, try not to panic. The first step is to secure the area by closing the door to the room to limit their roaming space. Remove any other pets from the room, and then try the food and cage trap method from our story. More often than not, when they get hungry, their instincts will lead them right back to their familiar food source. I hope today's story brought a smile to your face and warmed your heart. The world of pets is filled with endless stories waiting to be discovered, and we're so happy to share them with you. That's all the time we have for today on Furry Stories, signing off. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you won't miss the next fluffy tale. And if you have a funny, sweet, or totally wild story about your own pet that you'd like to share, please leave us a comment or send us a message. Until next time, take care and give your pets an extra cuddle from us. Goodbye.